Shalom. First, I want to say, call Haloyim, La Yahweh, Bahasham Yahweh Shai, Bahasham Rachak Wadash, the abundance of the elder apostles at Great Millstone, who rule well, and who have taught us knowledge. Honest salutations to you, fellow laborers, doing the work week in, week out. Shalom to you, Shalom to the few Akwaf that believe as well. This is my response to F.O.P.E. All right. They go by F.O.P.E. I think it's for our people education or something like that, if I'm not mistaken. I watched the Elder Apostles Ramlab's video, very informative video, by the way. I checked it out, the video that he did. I watch his videos pretty much every day. In particular, I watch his videos while I'm on the plantation working, and I stumbled across the video he did, and he was responding to F.O.P.E. And he left it open to young brothers, and I happen to be one of them young brothers that happen to be from the people that F.O.P.E., F.O.P.E., whatever, claim that's not Israelites. And it's funny, really hilarious, but at the same time, I have to be honest. I have to be honest and admit that I became angered by what they were saying, because what they were saying was just utter nonsense, and it was pretty much foolish, to say the least. They claim that those of us fathers that are so-called Native Americans and so-called Hispanics, they claim that we not Israelites. First and foremost, they didn't even disprove it in the video, right? And what they were saying was nonsense. Actually, the scriptures they was bringing out was cutting themselves, especially when they brought out Numbers, the first chapter. And matter of fact, before I start the video, let's go to it, man. You guys are a joke, man. I'll just say that. And Lord willing, I'm gonna keep this video nice, concise, and Lord willing, it's edifying to those of you Akim out there. They may watch, listen, or tune in. Lord willing, Abaratazah is edifying to your spirit. Especially you, you other Northern Tribe brethren that, like myself, and by the way, he mentioned us, Seminoles. I happen to be the son of a Seminole. My dad's a full-blood Seminole. You can't distinguish my dad from the Southern Kingdom. And as far as like, we all do the same things, whatever, what have you. But my dad, is a straight up Reubenite, and which would be the so-called Seminoles. And he was popular among all the tribes. And I just know that through the, stories that have been told to me. Just knowing, and then I know a little bit about my dad. I didn't have nothing long. He got killed when I was a little boy. But as far as what I know, he was very popular among all the tribesmen he hung around. All right. So, and he was one of the coolest guys around too. All right. I do know that. Right. And he tried to act like we're not the same, nation of people, these F.O.P.E guys, and it's just ridiculous. But let me get into the scriptures. I don't want to babble too long, or I don't want to just talk too long. I want to get right to the scriptures, I just want to say that, it's foolish for him to say such things, right? And then knowing the history between the so-called Seminoles, which would be Reuben, we would be Reuben or Ra-Abun in the Hebrew. Knowing the history between us and the Southern Kingdom, admitting or knowingly admitting that we were kin. I would even say you see a lot of old pictures of so-called Seminoles, they look just like the tents of Judah. All right, old pictures. You got some that look a little different, but for the most part, we favor each other. All right. Even the ones that are lighter. I got cousins that are lighter. Whatever, man. It don't matter what the skin tone is. Remember that the Lord's people are like speckled bird. Jeremiah the 12th chapter tells you that a speckled bird has many colors, so several colors. So you got Israelites that look like typical looking Israelites, so-called Black, Latino, Native Americans, and you have some that look like the other nations, including the nation of Esau, Edom. Okay, the Edomites. But this is Numbers 1 and 18. This is what they brought out, and it was simple and stupid that they were saying things contrary to what they was reading. Because if you know what the word pedigree means, it means bloodline, right? They try to act like numbers. Matter of fact, let's get it on the blue letter. Get it on the blue letter, right? This is Numbers 1 and 18, right? It says, and they assembled all the congregation together on the first day of the second month, and they declared their pedigrees after their families by the house of their fathers, according to the number of the names from 20 years old and upward by their poles. Now, the thing that's funny to me is that he brought out the word pedigree, right? This was so stupid that he did, right? And this is how you know that they don't have the truth. They just really just trying to cause a division, right? The Hebrew word there is yalad, all right? Yalad. Now, when you look up pedigree, let me get it on the, I'm going to go, I got some info pulled up too, by the way. So this video may be long, but like I said, Lord willing is edifying. All right, Lord willing is edifying. Let's go to the word pedigree. That's right, pedigree. Pedigree. This dude, man. It says pedigree. Genealogical table or chart. Excuse me. It says on old manuscripts, descent. He went on Google, right? Matter of fact, yeah, let's do what he did. He went on Google. All right, pedigree, right? Remember, he brought this out in the video. I watched the whole video besides 3, maybe 4 minutes, right? It says pedigree. Now, this is what he pulled it up, right? It says the record of descent of an animal showing it to be purebred, right? That's all he read, right? He didn't read where it says the record ancestry pertains to what? People. The recorded ancestry, especially upper class ancestry of a person or family. Now it says similar, right? Now click on the arrow that says low, right? It says similar to ancestry, descent, lineage, line, genealogy, family tree, extraction, derivation, origin, heritage, parentage, paternity, which pertains to your father, birth, family, dynasty, house, race, strain, stock, breed, blood, bloodline, history, background, roots, filiation, stemma. All right. So, which, another word they missing on here is sperma, right? Which stemma and sperma go hand in hand. But sperma, when you look up the word sperma, it goes into this too. And this is all pertaining to a man. All right. Paternity test is what? Paternity goes to what? Fathers. When you click on paternity, right? See, it says paternity. He refused to admit paternity of the child. He meaning what? The father. It says, especially in legal context, the state of being someone's father. Right, because the man determines the bloodline. The man determines the lineage. The man determines the origin, the stemma, the seed, the root, the race of the child that is put into the woman, which the woman incubates that child for about 9 months and then pushes it through her womb. So if you're going to bring up a word, and one thing about the elder apostles, they stress a lot about us young brothers looking up words, which I just thoroughly went through this word pedigree, as you can see. All right. So for them to make a point about nothing that they were just cutting themselves, man. Your mother don't have to be of the same tribe for you to be purebred. Your father, just like even with animals, right? When you go to breeders keep up with the dads, the male dogs, all right, to keep them same characteristics and everything that they may like about a particular breed of dogs. But referring to people, right, person, right, still the man is the determining factor when it comes down to the bloodline, lineage, again, the race, all right, stemma, breed, origin, parentage, paternity, genealogy, descent, ancestry. It's all about the men. And to prove that even further, when you go into the scriptures, when you go to the line of Yahweh the Messiah, his name is Yahweh. When it mentions a woman, it's because she played a part in an important event that took place. And I'm going to give you an example, man. All right. In case in point, Yahweh mother, Mary. And then there was another one, which I'm going to get here. Bear me 1 second. Let me find it. It mentions so let me go to this one. Right? I'm gonna give you an example. Matthew 1:6. It says, and Jesse begat David. Now you notice, right? All these names, all right, is mainly men. Now the women it mentions, like I said before, is because they played an important role into a story event or a historical event that took place between our ancestors. Case in point, David and Uriah's wife, right? So Matthew 1:6, and Jesse begat David, King David, that is, right? It says, and Jesse begat David the king, and David the king begat Solomon of her that had been the wife of Uriah. It said Uriah's, but it's talking about Uriah, whom King David committed adultery with her because she was the wife of Uriah, and he sent Uriah to war so that he may die because he wanted his wife. All right. And he was, of course, we know the story of how, the Lord took that first child, and then came King Solomon, which the spirit that was in King Solomon was, Yahweh. We know the scriptures speak about reincarnation. All right. Now, I'm going to jump down. All right. To verse 16, right? It says, and Jacob begat Joseph, the husband of Mary, of whom was born Yahweh, who was called the Anointed. All right, because the word Christ means anointed, going back to the word Christos. Okay, and you say Mashiach in the Hebrew. Okay, so I want to just highlight that. All right, Joseph and Mary was they played the part of Joseph being his biological father, and it proved that even further. You guys are funny, man. Prove that even further. What's that? Ooh, 2 or 3. Let me see. Can I find it real quick? Because it speaks about Joseph being of the house or the lineage of King David. All right. See, it goes into. I think I passed it. Shalakia. This is crazy, man. You gotta, house of lineage of David. Let me see. Let me type this in. Give me 1 second. Yeah, okay. So Luke 2 and 4. Luke 2 and 4, it says, and Joseph also went up from Galilee out of the city of Nazareth into Judea unto the city of David, which is called Bethlehem, because he was of the house and lineage of David. Because they make it like Joseph is not. Joseph is very important, first and foremost. He's of the lineage. Remember what lineage goes back to, right? Pedigree, right? Of who? King David. And I already went into pedigree, so we don't got to discuss it no more. So let's move on. All right, let's move on. I don't want to get stuck there. Because these jokers said that we're not Israelites. All right, went into the Apocrypha and everything, right? These jokers, man. You guys are some local jokers. All right. I couldn't resist saying that. I had to say that. They went to the Apocrypha, right? But you notice they didn't go into the Apocrypha and go into this important, text, scriptures, where it tells you about the northern tribes and how they went, right? 2nd Ezra 13 and verse 40. Those are the 10 tribes which were carried away prisoners out of their own land in the time of Hoshea the king, which is Hoshea the king, right? What is it talking about? What's it talking about, F.O.P.E? You know so much. One West don't know nothing according to you guys, man. The guys that learn from, the guys from One West and those young brothers that learn from the One Westers. According to you guys, we don't know nothing. According to you guys, we're liars. All of us are liars, right? According to you guys, the Most High revealed the signs to you niggas, because that's all you are is niggas, right? You think that High Priest Ariah is just a average, Israelite, just some nigga, wild nigga that the Lord revealed that to? No, man. I believe High Priest Ariah was that. I believe High Priest Ariah was that man that the Most High chose, all right, to reveal that unto, because I don't believe the Most High would reveal that just to some any old wild ass nigga, fucking, low life Israelite, man. I believe that High Priest Ariah is a man of the Lord. I don't know the man personally, but I've seen his work. All right. And I heard, now we know about the split. The elders going to the split. What happened? Going back to the One West. I wasn't there, right? But for the most part, that man has a good report outside of the thing with Comfy and all that. And I have read the 3rd chapter, Elder Apostles. If you hear this video, I have read the 3rd chapter, and I do believe that through the Spirit that is that man. Where it speaks about Joshua the high priest having filthy garments. All right, but let me get into this precept, right? Because he said us so-called Hispanics and Latinos, or so-called Native Americans, or indigenous to Americans. They said we're not Israelites, right? Let's prove something to them. And I'm gonna use something that comes from the tribe of Issachar, which is well known, right? I got the Decalogue stone, which belongs to the so-called Aztecs, which really is the tribe of Issachar, the so-called Mexicans, right? I got that pulled up, right? Because how the hell can you have the 10 Commandments over here that belongs to the so-called Aztecs, and then there's all kind of feasts that the so-called Aztecs, us so-called Seminoles, and even the North brothers that we keep that go back to the scriptures, even James Adair, that lived among, all right, our forefathers when they came over here. He said that we spoke an ancient Semitic language, which is the ancient Paleo Hebrew, and it's the same style Hebrew that the Southern Kingdom used as well. Man, 2nd Ezra 13 to 40. Those are the 10 tribes which were carried away prisoners out of their own land in the time of Hoshea the king, whom Salmanassar the king of Assyria led away captive, and he carried them over the waters, and so they came into another land, which should be Salmanassar the fifth. See, that's the question you should ask, or you should answer, F.O.P.E. All you F.O.P.E niggas, man. Where did the northern tribes go? Because according to the scriptures, they did not return into the land. But in the New Testament, it mentions a couple, tribes. Let you know there was a sprinkle of northern tribes, that remained with Judah, the tents of Judah. But for the most part, most of us had gone, all right, mainly over here to the so-called Americas. I'm going to prove that. I'm going to prove that in this video and show you that you guys are liars, man, through the Spirit, man. All right. It even mentions this when you go to the book of, what's that? 2 Kings 17, right? 2 Kings 17:1. In the 12th year of Ahaz, king of Judah, began Hoshea, because when they say Hoshea, it means Hoshea, son of Eli, to reign in Samaria over Israel 9 years, which, that's what the tribes became. It became known as the kingdom of Judah, or Judah and Israel, which would be the northern tribes. After, King Solomon died, and you had the infighting going on between, Rehoboam and Jeroboam. Verse 2, and he did that which was evil in the sight of the Lord, but not as the kings of Israel that were before him. Against him came up Salmanassar, king of Assyria, and Hoshea became his servant and gave him presents, right? So this is right here is telling you what was going on. This links right up with the what Ezra is speaking about in 2nd Ezra, the 13th chapter. Now let me keep reading, right? Verse 4. Well, let me read that again. Against him came up Salmanassar, king of Assyria, and Hoshea became his servant and gave him presents. Now, during this time, right, you had the tents of Judah going into the Babylonian kingdom, and you had the northern tribes going into the Assyrian captivity. That's where we had went into. This is well documented. That's why you hear us say Babylonian / Neo-Assyrian Empire, or just Babylonian / Assyrian Empire. All right, because the Assyrians took away us northern tribes. Even when you look at the Israelites, what do you call it? Even when you look at the Israelites being drawn out on the stones, and matter of fact, I'll just get it real quick. Let me see. You go into the images of Israelites going into the Assyrian captivity, right? Syrian captivity. Let me see here. See, can I pull this up? It's been a while. It's been a long time, right? Let me see, can I pull it up, right? The images. All right, let's see, I'm putting the images of Israelites going to the Syrian captivity. Very important you see this, right? Show you something, man. This is a good one right here. And matter of fact, what the actual stone at? Let's go back to the actual stone one. This would be a good one. Yeah, here we go. Now you look at these Israelites, man. The hair on their face and the hair on their head looks similar, all right, to, it looks similar to the so-called Negroes, as we call them, the Negro tribes, right? Or Southern Kingdom, the tents of Judah. It looks similar. Even myself, I have so-called finer, curly, but still yet kind of a woolly textured hair, man. All right. And my mother's mother is a Gadite, by the way. But the woolly textured hair is so strong that my mother, she don't even have hair like her own mother. Her hair is really woolly or thick. Now it's, it's okay, but my father had the kind of Rick Fox type of hair, But still, he, my hair texture is it can get very woolly, especially as it grows. It gets thicker and thicker. Okay. And that, I just say that just to throw it, add it in there because remember, you're going back to ancient times, when you go into the history of the Syrian captivity. And it's all roughly 724 BC. When you look it up, you will see the timeline of when this was going on, 724 BC. All right. Back in 2 Kings 17 in verse because one thing about the only reason I brought it up, let me clear that up. Because the only reason I brought that up because a lot of the Seminoles was compared to Negroes. And so was the North Brothers. And a lot of the so-called Latinos and Hispanics, when they first seen them, that was called Morenos and things like that. This is before the Southern Kingdom was even brought over here. And then just to add a little more history in for you F.O.P.E niggas, right? Because that's all you are is niggas. And I'm gonna keep saying that too. You mad, be mad, all right? To add it in there, a little history, right? You look this up about this is the archaeologist.org, right? And it goes into the history of Vikings coming over here, right? It's a video on YouTube, right? And it goes to the 1000s, right? Thousand, the year 1000. We in the year 2020, right? So this is year 1000. Keep in mind, this is the Dark Ages, the dark so-called age. The Dark Ages, also known as the medieval times, or Middle Ages. Okay, where you had dark people ruling in Europe, the Moors, which the Moors, we all know that they were Southern Kingdom Israelites. It was called Moors or Morenos because of the different wars with the so-called Arabs. All right, trying to forcibly convert them to Islam and stuff like that. So we know the history of that, right? But there's a lot of history of them trading and doing, business and what have you, things, trade commerce, if you will, with Gad. All right, they was doing a lot of that stuff before, before the Renaissance. This is about 325 years, because the 1000s would be year 1000, right? This is about 325 years before um, Renaissance officially began, because the Renaissance officially began in 1325. Okay, where it started to knows that right after the Black Plague, the bubonic plague, what have you, and they started to take down the Southern Kingdom over there, and the strongholds they had over in Europe and different parts in Spain and Morocco, certain of them so-called Arab countries and stuff. You know, during that time period, over in Italy, right? So it goes into that. All right, it goes all the way into that. That's just a little history, right? Let me get out of that. Now, let's continue up with the scriptures. I just want, I'm gonna add some history in there because you gotta know history, man. 2 Kings 17:4. And the king of Assyria found conspiracy in Hoshea, for he had sent messengers to So, king of Egypt, and brought no present to the king of Assyria, as he had done year by year. Therefore the king of Assyria shut him up and bound him in prison. Then the king of Assyria came up throughout all the land and went up to Samaria and besieged it 3 years. And in the 9th year of Hoshea, the king of Assyria took Samaria and carried Israel away into Assyria and placed them in Halah and in Habor by the river of Gozan and in the cities of the Medes. See? It says, for so it was that the children of Israel had sinned against Yahweh their power, which had brought them up out of the land of Egypt from under the hand of Pharaoh, king of Egypt, and had feared other gods, and walked in the statutes of the heathen, whom Yahweh cast out from before the children of Israel, Yashala, and of the kings of Israel, which they had made. So the Lord had cast us out. All right. And that's who he sent against us. All right. Because who dwelt in Samaria? The northern tribes, right? They came up there, they took us away captive. And so we went into Assyrian captivity. But the question is, again, where do we go from the Assyrian captivity? Because we know that for the most part, all right, mainly the northern kingdom, all right, the northern tribes, we didn't return. All right. We know that. The scriptures tell us that, right? Second Edges 13 and 40. Those are the 10 tribes which were carried away prisoners out of their own land in the time of Hoshea the king, whom Salmanassar the king of Assyria led away captive, and he carried them over the waters, and so came they into another land. But they took this counsel among themselves that they would leave the multitude of the heathen and go forth into a further country where never mankind dwelt. That and first of all, let's deal with that. All right. We're going to deal with that, right? Verse 42, that they might there keep their statutes, which they never kept in their own land. And they entered into Euphrates by the narrow places of the river, for the Most High then showed signs for them, and held still the flood till they were passed over, which, the main river over there was Euphrates where we entered that. And the narrow passages, which when you get a map, all right, of the currents, but you can, you look it up on your own, all right, coming from Assyria, right? And how we get um, through the narrow passages, right? That was alongside, the land of Africa, as you know it as today, which is the land of Ham, and how we entered into the waters or the currents that took us over here into the Americas, right? South, Central, and North America, as you know it today, right? This is that time period, okay? So you have verse, let me see, verse 45. Well, matter of fact, let me get the map. I'm gonna show you the map of how we got over here, right? Now you look at this map, right? Let's go over here. How we get over here would be Assyria will be over here by the yellow part of the map, right? Where they had the so-called Asia continent. If you look by the horn part of Africa, the little triangular part on the right side, kind of like a horn, right? That would be the place where we would go around the Horn of Africa, right? And on down through Madagascar way, on down the bottom of the land of Africa, or continent of Africa, I'm sorry. On up into the Americas as you know them today. And you see over there it says, well, we know it as South, Central, and North America. All right, because that would be where you would end up at. Okay, let me get this one right here. Bear with me 1 second. All right, got the Indian Ocean. You got the different parts over here. Let me see, can I zoom in? Well, it don't clear up Salakia. Wish I had a clearer map so you could see it better. But from from again, the Horn of Africa, all the way over here to the Atlantic Ocean, and on up through the, Atlantic Ocean. All right, to the Americas as we travel to by water. Okay, so keep that in mind. And notice I have a map of the unknown and known world. As I clicked on right here, it says unknown world, unknown old world map. All right, because it said where never mankind dwelt. And remember, mankind didn't dwell on this side of the earth, the Western Hemisphere, as you know it as. You had the Olmec statues, because the Olmec statues go back to King Solomon's navy. Okay? Because it said where never mankind dwelt there, right? Let's get that real quick. That 1 Kings 10. about the 20. Let's see. Yeah. We go right to the point. First Kings 10 and 22. For the king was King Solomon, right? You know it's King Solomon. For the king had at sea a navy of Tarshish with the navy of Hiram. Once in 3 years came the navy of Tarshish, bringing gold and silver, ivory and apes and peacocks. Right. This is King Solomon's navy during the reign of King Solomon, which he had. You had the Canaanites, you had the Philistines. They were great navigators of the sea. It was great seamen, right? So they knew how to navigate through the waters. All right, when you look up, Hiram, all right, you will know that they were great navigators of the sea. The Canaanites and like I said, and you even had the Philistines. They knew how to travel the waters, if you will. All right. And one thing when you look up this peacock, right? Matter of fact, let's see here. Can I get that? No. This peacock one. Let's go to interlinear. And we're gonna look up translation comparison, right? Because it's mentioned peacock, right? Now the KJV says, "For the king had at sea a navy of Tarshish with the navy of Hiram. Once in 3 years came the navy of Tarshish, bringing gold and silver, ivory, and apes and peacocks." Right? You go to Latin, right? Which this will be the Latin. You notice it says pavos, right? This would be the word for peacocks. When you look it up, you go back to the Latin word pavos. When you go to pavos and you look it up by the web, say web search, right? It'll be turkeys. Okay? Turkeys. So pavos is turkey. Origin. Check this out. Listen now. Call Lord Yahweh Shem Abishai for Elder Apostle Aram Lab. He showed me this. Gotta give credit where credit is due. They are elders for a reason. I didn't just learn this on my own. All right, origin of pavos. All right. So you see it says Spanish, right? It says from Latin pavo, peacock, right? But really, when you look it up, it's Spanish for turkey. It means turkey. Knows it had images of what? Turkeys, right? It's not really peacock. See? It's really going to turkeys, which show you something. What are pavos? Or what is pavos? I'm sorry. There you go. What is pavo? And then show you it's really a turkey. Okay, it's not a peacock actually. See, it say how to say turkey in Spanish. See, el pavo, tampoco muerde, if I'm pronouncing right, muerde. So el pavo, which I know this personally because I deal with so-called Latin women. Okay, and even my brother, my oldest brother, he was pretty fluent in Spanish. All right. Because that's one language we learned growing up was Spanish. All right, pavo, which would be turkeys. It's not really peacocks. And when you look it up, what country? Yeah, let's get that. What country? What country are turkeys native to? And it says farmyard turkeys were domesticated from a species called the wild turkey, native to the eastern and southwestern states and parts of Mexico. See, to what? The eastern and southwestern states over here in America, and it says in parts of Mexico. It's likely that the Mayans of southern Mexico were the first to domesticate turkeys. See? So there you go, man. There you go. And you said the Navy would bring these back every 3 years, right? Did it not say that? Let's read it again. 1 Kings 10 and 22. For the king had at sea a navy of Tarshish with the navy of Hiram. Once in 3 years came a navy of Tarshish bringing gold and silver and ivory and apes and peacocks, which really is turkeys. All right, every 3 years, because you know why? It took a year and a half to come in this way and a year and a half to get back. So that's every 3 years. And what it says about the northern tribes, when we came over here, it took us a what? I want to read it. 2nd Ezra 13 and 43. And they entered into Euphrates by the narrow places of the river. For the Most High then showed signs for them and held still the flood till they were passed over. For through that country there was a great way to go, namely of a year and a half. And the same region is called Asareth, which means Akar Ratazah, or I'm at that Akar on it, but Akar Ratazah, because it goes into Deuteronomy, the 29th chapter. Let me get that. Another land. That's how you say another land in Hebrew. Let me be on point now. Let's go to it. Deuteronomy 29 and it's 20. Come Deuteronomy 29 and verse 28 says, and the Lord rooted them out of their land in anger and in wrath and in great indignation and cast them into another land as it is this day. And how you say another land, you will go to the word. You see it says a car, all right, a car, and land is Aratazah. See, Aratazah, a car Aratazah, which means another land. That's what the word Asareth means. All right, it means another land. Ar-Sareth. When you Google it, Ar-Sareth, meaning. See? It says translated from the Hebrew, it apparently means other land or another land. Other or another land. That's what it means. And remember it said, where never mankind dwelt. All right. Remember. In verse 41 it says, let me read that again. Verse 41, 2nd Ezra 13 and 41. But they took this counsel among themselves that they would leave the multitude of the heathen and go forth into a further country where never mankind dwelt. This is where you get the unknown world theme from. Which really, when you look at it, because I brought out the history of King Solomon's Navy, that world was known, the Western Hemisphere. Because his Navy went over there and brought things back for King Solomon every 3 years. So it's a year and a half to get over there and a year and a half to get back. And remember this too. When you look at when you look at the Middle East map, right? Middle East map. Show you something. All right. The Middle East map. When you look at let me see. See, can I find where you can clear this? Okay, here we go. Here we go. The land of Israel and Damascus, which you know will be the capital, all right, of Syria, which you know it goes into this ancient Assyria, right? You notice where it says Israel, and you see it says right Right below Beirut, it says Damascus. That's going to the Syrian. Matter of fact, I'll just get an old map. Let's get an old map. Let's get an old map, man. Let's get an old map. Syrian map. Excuse me, bear with me. Oh, here we go. The Syrian Empire. Right. See, notice the Syrian Empire, right? It says Assyrian. Let me see that. Assyrian Empire, right? So from Israel into Assyria, and you see Euphrates River right there. All right. You can travel there by land in no time. All right. You see it. Israel, you see Euphrates. Remember, they put us by what was that? Habor and the other one, I forget the other one, which they is located close by the what was it? Salaki, bear me 1 second. What was it? Second Kings. You look these rivers up that we entered into. When we was leaving Hala and Habor by the river of Gozan. So let's look that up. Let's look that up. It's like okay, Gozan River map. See, you got it. See, let's go to it, man. See, Israelite settlements, Habor and Hala, and you see it's by where? Euphrates is right below, and you see Babylonia is right below it. See, it says Babylon. Remember, it's known as the Babylonian / Assyrian Empire. So Israelites of the northern tribes, which would be so-called Native Americans, so-called Hispanics, enter into what? Euphrates by the river. What? Gozan. Gozan leads. It's connected, right? It's connected to the river Euphrates, as you can see right here. It show you that, and you see Habor. Well, the river Gozan is between Habor and Hala. See? So, let's go from there. Go back to the scriptures, right? Second Esdras 13-45. It says, For through that country there was a great way to go, namely of a year and a half, and the same region is called Aseret, which we know it means Acharatazah, which means another land. Verse 46, then dwelt they there until the latter time. Are we not in the latter time? Are we not in the latter time? The answer would be yes. And now when they shall begin to come. Right? So then dwelt they there until the latter time, and now when they shall begin to come. Okay? Which, right here in this land, you have where the reunion, all right, of the northern tribes of Southern Kingdom is right here in what you call the Americas today, especially the U.S., because this is Babylon the Great. Okay, that's why it says in Jeremiah 50:33 that the children of Judah. Let me get that real quick. You had basically a reunion of the tribes right here in America. Jeremiah 50:33. Thus saith the Lord of hosts, the children of Israel and the children of Judah were oppressed together. Now, where are the children of Israel and the children of Judah, are oppressed together at? Because remember, they were being oppressed in the Babylonian / Assyrian captivity timelines, but also, more importantly, it's talking about when. Now, You see? And how we know that? Because even at the beginning of this chapter, hold on, matter of fact, I'm gonna jump back down to 33. Let's go back up. Because it even says at the beginning of this chapter that we all the northern tribes and Judah would come together going and weeping. Jeremiah 50:4. It says, in those days and in that time, well, matter of fact, come. Yeah, Jeremiah 50:4. In those days and in that time, saith the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahushua, the children of Israel shall come, they and the children of Judah together, going and weeping. They shall go and seek Yahweh their power. Yahweh Bashem Yahushua, our power, right? They shall ask the way to Zion with their faces thitherward, saying, come and let us join ourselves to Yahweh Bashem Yahushua in the perpetual covenant that shall not be forgotten. Now, we didn't get back together after the Babel. Remember, Jeremiah the prophet lived what time? During this time period. All right. During the Babylonian / Assyrian time period. Remember that. But we didn't come together seeking Yahweh Bashem Yahushua our power back then as a whole. Remember, it says the children of Israel and they of Judah, the tents of Judah, will go weeping and seeking Yahweh Bashem Yahushua our power together. That's the whole nation coming back. Ain't no motherfucking so-called African countries coming together. Yo, y'all try. Basically, what y'all are, F.O.P.E, is just niggas for one. And what y'all doing is trying to equate that Africanism nonsense, Kemetic nonsense. All right, trying to include that into the Israelites, or make an Israelite. Basically, use Israelites with a Hamitic twist, man. That's all you are, man. Bringing out, can the Ethiopian change his skin? That's not talking about the subject matter y'all was trying to trying to disprove us being Israelites. First of all, that was, matter of fact, the precept y'all brought out was so foolish, man. Because you didn't even read the whole precept in that video. Like I said, I watched the whole video besides 3 or 4 minutes. All right. Can Ethiopian change his skin? Let me get that. I'll go to the blue to get that. Hold on. Bear with me 1 second. Let me get this precept. This is what they brought out. Jeremiah 13:23. It says, can the Ethiopian change his skin, or the leopard his spots? Then may ye also do good that are accustomed to do evil. See? That's what that's talking about. Because they trying to act like all the tribes are going to look like the Ethiopians. Well, the Lord did compare us to the Ethiopians, but remember, they are light Ethiopians, and they're mid brown. Well, you got light brown Ethiopians, you got light brown to mid brown to dark Ethiopians, right? And I've met these people in person. All right. And yes, Ephraim is a cake unturned. I grew up with Ephraim. Some of my best friends, one of them know the truth. And they're Ephraimites. And you couldn't even tell them apart from the kingdom of Judah, because for the most part, in general, we do the same things. We know how to sing, dance, play sports, all this stuff. But the point is, I met super dark straight up Ephraimites. And they claim, Taino. Some of them just say, I'm a Taino. And I met light ones as well. And I met some of them like Edomites. Remember, the Lord heritage is like a speckled bird, man. So there's some, what you call, what they say, purebred. There's some purebred Tainos, right? But that doesn't mean They're not purebred because their mother not the same thing. Come on, man. Anyways, they use this precept, which is, didn't even prove their point. They're just making a fool of themselves, to be honest. Let me go back to Jeremiah 15:33, though. It says, "Thus said the Lord of hosts, the children of Israel and the children of Judah were oppressed together, and all that took them captives held them fast. They refused to let them go." Now, when you look at the curses, right, yeah, we know the tents of Judah went into slavery by ships. But did not the Edomites take the tribes of, Gad, Issachar, and other, northern tribes across the waters over into Europe and different parts of the world as well? And you want to get technical, F.O.P.E, the 1400s, these devils came over here and took some of our, some of the northern tribes, some of us over to that parts of the world, the other part of the world, to get technical. See, everything is highlighted. When you look it up, it's highlighted mainly on Judah when you look it up, because Judah is the lead tribe, and we know that, we understand that, and that's just the way the Lord set it up. But also, when you go into history, you will see that you had northern tribes going to slavery first on those ships, going back to what the Spanish, the conquistadors that were taking them over into Spain and different parts of the world. You had Gadites going into Europe, man. So, that's one thing, man. All right. But remember, man, hey, you're gonna have people out here like this, is gonna act like they know everything. They don't know nothing, man. You guys really don't know nothing, man. Then to show you the kind of confusion you guys are in, because you guys are in a state of confusion. They had the so-called nigger woman, all right, a so-called black woman. I'm gonna be a little nice. What's nice means stupid, by the way. I'm gonna call her, she want me to call her black. I'm calling her a black woman. They had a black woman, all right, bringing up some fucking DNA, talking about some Mongols and shit that Esau put out in the world to confuse you. Okay, and then the Zondervan Compact Bible Dictionary is made by the small hats, the so-called Jews. That's they made that book. Their scholars made that book up because they know that the so-called Negroes ain't in no relation related to the so-called Africans, which are the Hamites. But you have Negroes that fled, the tents of Judah that fled into Africa. That doesn't mean that they're the same people or brethren. Okay. You guys, like I said, the spirit ain't. I don't believe the spirit. I don't believe Yahweh Shem Yahushua through the Holy Spirit, the Ruach Kodash, is dealing with you F.O.P.E niggas. I'm gonna say it outright. This is me saying this. Okay. DNA test for real. First of all, the Romans destroyed a lot of those records. So how you know who you are? How you know you ain't a Hamite? How we know you niggas ain't Hamites? Okay. That's one thing. Because you don't got no fucking records. All right. When they do DNA tests, they say what? Go back to what? Africa, right? So I mean you African. Come on, man. This whole African Israelite thing. Ain't no African Israelites, man. You got Israelites over in the land of so-called Africa, which is really the land of Ham. Okay? But you guys are just causing confusion and you trying to put us against each other. But see, the Lord, Yahweh Shem Yahushua is bringing us back together, the ones he won't. And the rest of you, he don't want you, man. So I don't even expect you to get it, man. Let me get a precept, man. Romans 16 and 17, because you guys are trying to cause division, man. That's why I'm bringing this precept out. Romans 16 and 17. Now I beseech you, brethren, mark them which cause divisions and offenses contrary to the doctrine, which ye have learned, and avoid them. All right. You guys are trying to cause division. So you get on, you got a thing. I mean, just like Vocab Malone, you got a thing about coming against the one Westers and the guys, the brothers really that learn from one Westers and claim that you guys have the truth. You niggas ain't got no truth. You just know you Israelites, but you bugged out, man. Remember, you got, Yahweh Shai himself. He had an example of the good and the bad among Israel. Was not Judas Iscariot one of the 12, running the original? And they did not go on to betray the Lord? See? Example of good and bad. You guys are a bad crop of Israelites. See? You guys cause division, all right? Because the truth, I believe through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai, that the truth came out of one West. See? But according to you guys, the Most High is dealing with you guys exclusively and only. And nobody's scared of you guys. But that's some carnal shit, man. You guys are carnal minded. Who's scared of you, man? Nobody's scared of you dudes, man. All right? No one's scared of you dudes. That's some carnal shit to say. Who's scared of you dudes? What do you mean? And when you say scared, what do you mean by saying scared? I hope it's not talking about physically, man. Because we all, we are, as far as, our people, we may be Israelites, man, but don't get it twisted, man. Okay? Do not get it twisted, man. We're not even out here for no carnal thing, man. But you look at us so-called Native Americans and so-called Negroes, who compete best with who? Do Israel compete best with their own or with the heathen? It would be their own that give them the greatest challenges, because why? A lot of times you see the kingdom of Judah go up against Northern Tribe, Israelite. They make the best fights, whether it's boxing, MMA, what have you. Baseball, what have you. All right, you sitting here talking shit about us Northern tribes, and you mentioned Seminoles too. First of all, a lot of them football players that come from down southeastern part of this country, especially down central and South Florida, a lot of them be Reubenites, man. So-called Seminoles, man. And one of the things they observed about us, that we was some great, they say avid sportsmen, because they see how passionate we was towards sports as far as so-called Seminoles, man. Us Reubenites. And how mighty, how much of mighty warriors we are. So mighty that we wasn't defeated in war, in battle. Of the three major battles and wars we had with these Edomites, man, with these devils, man. Which matches up perfectly with Genesis 49. What does it say about Reuben, man? Silly, man. Genesis 49:2. Gather yourselves together and hear, ye sons of Jacob, and hearken unto Israel your father. It says, Reuben, thou art my firstborn, my might, and the beginning of my strength, the excellency of dignity, and the and the excellency of power. And when they met us down there, all right, in the southeastern part of this country, even up to like mid-southern states, they met us, and they met a fucking fierce, mighty group of fucking warriors, man. To this day, they hate Seminoles, man. For a long time, when they would recognize the other tribes, they wouldn't recognize us Seminoles, man. Because these devils couldn't out-muscle us, man. And then you look at the so-called Aztecs, right? When you go to the Decalogue stone, also known as the Los Lunas stone, how the hell can, all right? Because matter of fact, let's go back. It says the Los Lunas Decalogue stone. It says the Los Lunas Decalogue stone is a large boulder on the side of a hidden mountain near Los Lunas, New Mexico, about 35 miles south of Albuquerque, right? Now let's click on it real quick. It says that bears a 9-line inscription carved into a flat panel. The stone is also known as the Los Lunas Mystery Stone or Commandment Rock, right? Because you know why? This stone, which is right here, it has the 10 Commandments on it, which belongs to the so-called Aztecs, which are the so-called Mexicans today, which is really the tribe of Issachar. The tribe of Issachar, it had a good portion of this land you call America. Okay? They had a good portion of this land you call America. But now they're illegal immigrants, man. All of a sudden, because these Edomites pushed them out, man. But they had the stone, which is written in ancient Paleo style Hebrew, man. So how the hell you gonna say we not Israelites, man? When everything they find as far as language, it all goes back to what? And not just Issachar, you had among Gad as well. You had among us Reubenites things written in what? Ancient Paleo Hebrew, man. But we're not Israelites. When the Vikings came over here and they did trade, trade different things, business, whatever. How could they talk with each other if they didn't know the same language? They used the Moors to translate what we were saying. Now, how can they speak the language that we're speaking if they don't know us? You guys are comical, man. You guys are comical, man. It's a well-known documented fact that the Moors spoke what? They spoke Hebrew and they spoke Latin. The real actual ancient Paleo Hebrew. And that's why they was able to translate what we were saying to the Edomites, the Spanish, the Conquistadors, what have you. The English, You guys don't know what the hell you're talking about, man. Why do we keep? Why did James Adair say that we keep ancient, ancient Semitic customs? How can we keep those customs if we don't know who we are? They all go back to the law of Moses, first fruits, harvest, Passover. Come on, man. That all goes back to the scriptures, man. Let's get that first fruits. Let me get that. All right. This is Exodus 22 and 29. It says, thou shalt not delay to offer. Chill. Shall I get my dog growling? It's okay. Chill. Exodus 22 and 29. It says, thou shalt not delay to offer the first fruit, the first of thy ripe fruits, and of thy liquors, the firstborn of thy sons shalt thou give unto me. And this is what the Lord told Moses to tell unto the Israelites. So you have where we keep these customs, we circumcise, we circumcise the sons on the 8th day. That goes to the circumcision, right? Let's get that real quick. The 8th day. 8th day. Leviticus 12. Let's get that. Because it's a well-known fact. It's a well-known fact that Native Americans and Hispanics would circumcise, their sons, even until this very day. Leviticus, and I'm talking about I'll say, well, you go into after the invasion, right? One thing they observed, James Adair even observed, is that we practice the circumcision, the 8th day circumcision, which goes back to the law of Moses, right? Which is known as the law of Moses, right? Which the law of Moses was the law that's given from the Lord to Moses to give unto the children of Israel. This is Leviticus 12:1. And the Lord, where it says, and Yahweh spake unto Moses, saying, speak unto the children of Israel, which would be the sons of Israel. And to prove that, you can go to that too. Children is say bun. See, bun, son, right? Grandson. See, son, male, man, child. Excuse me. Son, male, child. Come on, man. You young men, you get it. Speak unto the sons of Israel, is what it should say in the Hebrew. Bun or bunyam, making it plural, saying, if a woman have conceived seed, right, taking the man's semen or sperm, stemma, semen, stock, you know, offspring, fluid from the paternal parent, right? It says, speak unto the sons of Israel, that's what it should say, saying, if a woman have conceived seed and born a man child, yeah, then she shall be unclean 7 days, according to the days of her separation of her infirmity, shall she be unclean. And in the 8th day, the flesh of his foreskin shall be circumcised. Look that up. How Native Americans, so-called Native Americans, and so-called Latinos and Hispanics kept the 8th day circumcision, even until this very day. Even until this very day, this is a custom that is kept. So you guys are just way off, man. You guys are way the hell off, man. Did not the Taínos believe in the one true living God? When you go in the scriptures, and I'm not gonna give you all the answers. You look it up on your own. Since you got the nigga woman on there trying to act like she know what she talking about. All right, when you go into the true one true living God, right, which is biblical. You see it, Jeremiah 10:10, and this is First Thessalonians 1:9, right? And remember, one of the main things that ended us up in slavery was worshiping idols, right? 1 Thessalonians 1:9. For they themselves show of us what manner of entering in we had unto you, and how ye turned to the Heavenly Father from idols to serve the living and true power. One thing about the so-called Taínos, which are Puerto Ricans today, one thing they did is believe in, the one true living God, which would be Yahweh. All right. This is a well-known documented fact as well. I could bring them up, but you look it up, man. So you like to look up things, talking about some DNA, our DNA go back to ages. Get the fuck out of here, man. Are you crazy? A lot of you got so-called Dominicans, which are Simeon. You got some of the Tainos. Their blood actually show they go back to so-called or it links up with so-called Negro or West African blood, which would be so-called Negroes come from that area. When they got from the land of Africa, come on them slave ships. So if you knew anything about blood, it'll tell you to match the different blood they had in them. When the bloods would be with so-called Negro, but we don't go by DNA because DNA is not what we go by. The DNA is something that you go by because the scriptures tell you about foolish genealogy. Let's get that real quick. Foolish genealogies. Get that foolish genealogies. Titus 3:9. It says, but avoid foolish questions and genealogies and contentions and strivings about the law, for they are unprofitable and vain. So you avoid that, foolish genealogies, man. Because why? You don't know your ass from your toenails, man. It says this in the book of Romans, the 8th chapter. Right? It says Romans 8 and verse 16, and it reads, the Spirit itself, which is talking about what? This book has a spirit to come with it, right? These words are living, all right, and well, St. John 6:63. What Yahweh said, the words that I speak, that they are, we get, well, you know what? I'll go to the other app and get that real quick. They are spirit and they are life, man. St. John 6:63. It says, it is a spirit that quickeneth, and this is in red, so Yahweh is speaking. It is a spirit that quickeneth, the flesh profited nothing. The words that I speak unto you, they are spirit and they are life. See? This is a spiritual book. This book has a spirit to come with it, man. All right, this is the Holy Spirit. Hey, you can understand the Holy Spirit. This book is really not for anybody, man. All right, clearly. Now, I didn't go into the different other tribes because there was no need for me to do that, because they don't need to do all that to prove that. This is enough. And it's kind of long, but so be it. Lord willing is edifying, though. All right, because the elder apostle, he proved you wrong about the tribes, about Ephraim and Manasseh. Okay. But this, like I said, this is just nonsense you guys are speaking, man. Genealogy, man. The so-called black woman, Eve herself, come out. We know what happened to Eve. We know how easily influenced Eve is, right? Romans 8:16. The Spirit itself bear witness with our spirit that we are the children of the Heavenly Father. And if children, then heirs of the Heavenly Father, and joint heirs with Yahweh, Hamashiach, if so be that we suffer with him, that we may be also glorified together. All right, so the Spirit bear witness with our spirit, which is this book. Okay. So, with that, I'm gonna say, Lord willing, this video was edifying. Slakia, it was long, but hey, Lord willing, it was edifying. That's what matters. Was you edified in the spirit? All right, you Northern Tribe brothers, don't be discouraged by these niggas. They're just niggas. I'm talking about all the tribes, whether whomever it may be, of the Northern tribes or Southern Kingdom, acting like niggas, man. Let them be niggas. If you believe, keep believing, keep growing in this truth. Keep gaining the knowledge you need to build up your faith in Yahweh Bashem Yahushua. And don't worry about it, man. Hey, Yahweh Bashem Yahushua got us. All right. So with that, Lord willing, this video has been edifying. Until next time, I want to say to all of you sincere and true worshipers, Shalom. Until the next video.